It's interesting. So one of the key references that are usually made when it comes to baby, yeah, baby Drew, at the moment as Womaya na yeka the impact of COVID-19 and that of the Russian-Ukraine war. And the external factors are Are these the only factors that have brought us where we are?
There be external factors, now, of course, a major factor. Into Russia and Ukraine in Tokyo economy say affect your fango and your dreading sense. And I think so ye news so free wa obesha yeka ekosro. In fact, one of our biggest challenges economically as a country now, and it's our share desktop now was so. Na ye pese share the kunti a yeka na kosra ya kasa a lot about it in the recent weeks. Inti I mention banking sector cleanup. You saw Bekaya from 2012 na abaya etwa mu no almost supervision of the banking sector no na e form to the extent say na banks bebre it me promise interest rate na che say one na mama for de almost sika ekohyem bebre at a point no omogigi scanner ni deposit na when we ba ho so na che say omodi scanner dwane and I saw my follow up. Into ye by ye who said banking sector confidence and that's why na Ghana for ye banking sector na aba from cry. It's ne who here say a buying ye besum na ya making sure say big cleaning up the banking sector. Now for about 4.2 million depositors. Someone no mudi omusika akogu sika crab ya bebre na de akoye investment. Na akokem. In fact, nipa bebre krebi mu hwere omo kwa. Ebi mu enya high blood pressure akuma yare ani ade because of omusika omudiko shame in the end na banks ni bebre na afford up crowd omusika no omunya nti hereby no we had to spend up to about 25 billion Ghana cedis nti depositors ni etua bebre na sika amomo and then ne ya me no ka say most of these banks are you collapsing omunya bebre na court.
Was that the only option that was available to the government to have utilized? Since now we don't even know whether the figure is 25 million or whether it's 28, because we have had these figures fluctuating up and down. Was that the only option? As I have heard certain economists and financial analysts make the case, if, for instance, we're able to merge certain banks into Consolidated Bank Ghana, we could have had interim management teams women manage these banks that were in critical situations and come manage it for a period. When the banks are stable, they would have kept the jobs of people and they would have kept the money that people had with them. You remember the case of the introduction of the special purpose vehicle that was used to salvage the case of, I think, some 4 banks, NIB being one of them. The, what's the name of the instrument? I've forgotten the name. But there was a special purpose vehicle that was used to salvage some of these banks. Couldn't same have been done for these banks we spent this 25. Let me go by your figure. I use it and we are still paying for that money.
Yes, into your banking sector exercise now, you put some of the banks together. Now, and even prior to that, the banks need go now books, liquidity in sense very problematic. Into Bank of Ghana, and so assembly or court in the NPP a lot of support, but in the end, a new was to sustain bank first can be brain. So still now
let's leave the court bit out and let's focus on the decision to collapse these banks in the first place. I'm saying that somehow advanced the argument that if instead of, I remember at the time they were throwing the figure of I think 8 million, which could have been used to salvage some of these banks. Now I'm saying that proposal that there could have been interim management teams to man these banks to keep them alive, where people who lost their jobs would have been kept and people's money would still have been salvaged. Was that not an option, seeing that the Ghana Amalgamated Trust did same for NIB and some other 3 banks?
Of course, into Osha banks now, you put it together and your money nearby, so I mean, my books and into Chinchina money now, you gumo at once. Some of the banks were consolidated. And I think so more can we try to put them together so they are more able to make a sustain, especially in say we are concerned about employment. These banks are not in for a year at least once our year Juman, you would also have the opportunity to contribute to national development by paying taxes and all of that. Until you put some of these banks together, so they are amount for quotes if you just like that.
But a lot of people lost their jobs.
Exactly, because you share the impact of the way our banks nesiko any amount for sika na pour down the drainer. It was important for the cleanup to be done. Say the bear, you bet me restore credibility in the banking sector. Now, after yes, I'm making sure say banks never suffer into my
What do you mean when you say amount for sika na pour down the drain? Is it the case to say, as much as there were liquidity issues with these banks, people whose monies were with these banks could not collect their money until the announcement by the Bank of Ghana as to the decisions they are taking? Initially, it left some people doing, if I'm saying, panic withdrawals with these banks. Then now it mounted pressure on these banks. Until then, we were not hearing about these issues with the banks.
Banks, I won't say banks, they be our almost say. Now, banks now, of course, deposit takers. So what J or depositor, Bank of Ghana, rules are outlining a new man bit me the scanner, any new man wants me and first scanning. A been so your friend is a susu savings near the other. It's clearly your rules, but you see what was happening is that baby no more depositors money now. Then no more the contractors, and I said they venture into as we be now crumple the top shares and bonds outside. Various ventures are any profitable are clearly against the banking rules.
Whose fault was it to have ensured they say these corporate governance issues that popped up in the report that the Bank of Ghana released, that there was a lack of corporate governance structures in these banks, and that the supervisory role, which the Bank of Ghana itself was supposed to have played, fell short?
Yes, it's bank. Banking sector. And mind you, these issues were pertaining. In 2017, and now banks, most of them were even collapsing because said them kind of depositors for sika. Who do sika couture? Say be I will save one. I would. Then in the end, they come out contractors. Then contractors now after some time, who said they are unable to raise money because they are buying contracts no more. So buying sika sem buying intimate. So it puts pressure on them. So this was a problem. It was very evident in the past administration. In the bear buying in 2017 onwards, who said no. You should say the new Messi corner. I was say you making sure say a better restructuring now Bank of Ghana and stand it to its feet. Now you making sure say be cleaning banking sector. Now say the bear all these issues are now from 2014-15 past administration or me managing here. You bet me now banking sector and infant into my pen friends.